What's going on, everybody? You are watching and listening to Heated Shenanigans Podcast, the only podcast bringing you the heat each and every single week. I am your host, Scott, and on today's episode, as you can see, I am joined by former WWE Diva, the lovely Cherry. Cherry, welcome to Heated Shenanigans.
Thank you so much for having me. So I'm excited.
You're most welcome. So how have you been lately, Cherry? You know, it's been a long time since the fans have gotten to hear from you.
I've been great. I live in Florida now, living life, enjoying the cooler weather that's been coming through. So, bought my first house. So, I'm enjoying that and being a homeowner, which is always exciting. So, trying to be a little nifty with fixing things up and adding stuff. So, it's been great. I love Florida, great weather and a lot of friends down here. So that's been awesome.
It's probably significantly nicer than what we have right here. It's currently sleeting and probably in the mid-20s.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I would take your weather 100% over ours.
Well, we get cold, which I enjoy, but Floridians think 50's cold. So I'm from Jersey, so I know what cold is. So I enjoy it when it lasts down here. That's for sure.
All right, well, let's get into it here. Cherry, you had made your debut in WWE alongside Deuce and Domino, one of the most unique tag teams WWE had come up with. I was very curious, what was your initial reaction to the Grease-themed gimmick that you guys were given in WWE? What were your thoughts?
Well, that's interesting how you say that. We actually came up with the gimmick. Initially, Jimmy and Cliff were doing it at OVW, and then Cliff had the idea to add a girl on the old school roller skates. So, and I know that's kind of going around that, WWE gave us that gimmick. It wasn't. It was all us. So I had known Jimmy from New Jersey. He would come to the same wrestling school, not at a time that I was there, but he would train with his dad. So we worked on the indies together, so we knew each other. And when Cliff had mentioned he wanted this girl on roller skates and thought it would be a great addition, Jimmy asked me. So they showed me, they had been working on promos together as these greasers. So they're like, we want a girl on roller skates. We don't know what she looks like. We don't know her name. We just want those old school roller skates. So it was really all up to me as to what I was going to look like or what my gear was or whatever. So it was really all each of us. The boys came up with the idea. They perfected their, gimmick, and then they added me, and I added my own personality and twist on it. So collectively, we kind of got the gimmick together, which was, it was so unique and so fun. I mean, everybody's like, oh, Honky Tonk Man. It wasn't like Honky Tonk Man. It wasn't Elvis-y. It wasn't anything like that. It was really kind of 50s in that generation. So, I really loved the gimmick, and I love the dynamic of Cherry being a babyface, really, to heels. That hadn't been done since Savage and Liz. So, being able to recreate that, and nobody had done that dynamic in a while, that made it even more exciting. So, yeah, we loved it.
See, going back and looking at that time period in WWE, I thought that you guys were going to be poised for such a prominent role. There wasn't a lot of tag teams in WWE at that time, and none that had the look or the feel that you guys brought when you guys came out to the ring. Soon after you guys had won the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but you guys got taken off TV for a little bit, correct?
See, that's the thing with the big machine, right? So Vince isn't big into tag teams. There weren't a lot of tag teams, not like there are now. But we'd always, it's like, well, then why are tag teams if Vince is so against them? Like, why bring in, whether it was us or not, it was just, Paul London and Brian Kendrick, and, you just sink or swim at that point. So, yeah, we would debut. We did a little bit of a stint with, like, London, Kendrick, and Ashley, and it wasn't very big from that point. And then they brought us back into the picture for MVP and Matt Hardy, which was really kind of MVP Matt Hardy focus. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know. They're always just like, Vince isn't big with tag teams. And it's like, well, then why are there any tag teams at all? I never understood that. I just really never did. So yeah, there were moments where we weren't highlighted. There was steam. People liked it. They would get us cars every week. They would spend money to get us cars, and then it was just kind of like it died down. So yeah, that's weird.
Well, you had mentioned that WWE had gotten you guys cars for entrances. Did you guys know before the show what you were going to be getting, or was it a surprise when you got there?
We didn't know even from when we were getting called up. We didn't know that they were going to give us a car until we got there that day in Little Rock, Arkansas, and we're like, yes, we love this. So every week we would get a new car, and I would do a photo shoot with every car every week. Just it's another opportunity, right? So no, that was amazing. That was awesome.
What was the favorite car that you got to do a photo shoot with?
I think the green one. I think I did the best. That was my first car photo shoot. It's a green one, and I had like a pink button up top on it. So that was in the back. I forget what arena. I think that was LA that I did that one. So that's the one I have the most photos out there on. But yeah, it was fun. I took the opportunity to try and get a shot every time. So they were all fun, actually, trying to, because people love that, right? People love that girl in the car. So especially from that era. So
Let's say, as you had mentioned, that it was kind of unheard of being the two heels and the babyface manager. Had you guys got some more opportunities, what other tag teams would you have liked to have seen Deuce and Domino work with? And more importantly, what other opportunities would you have liked to have had in WWE?
So I think the biggest disappointment was, and I've said this before. So we did the match where Deuce wrestled Batista, and we used to do this in OVW where, Deuce would, bump around the baby face, and I'd get up and I'd give him a kiss, like, oh my god, this is great, my boyfriend's so great, and then do it again, and then I blow him a kiss, and do it again, I blow him a kiss. Well, then we did that with Batista, and I think that dynamic took on because then he would blow me a kiss, and I'm like, oh my god, like, Batista. And then at the end of that, where Deuce lost, and then Batista's like, call me, like, we kind of hammed it up. That they liked that so much that the next week we did the whole thing with me backstage and Deuce finding me in Batista's locker room and it with Flair. So funny thing is that after that SmackDown, where I was in the locker room with Batista, we went on a tour of Singapore, Bangkok, Australia, and I think Dave was coming out of the spa, and I was going into the spa for a massage, and he had said, hey, like, I really like working with you guys. I really want to work with the boys. Rick and I are going to call Vince while we're on tour and say we want to work with you guys, because they really liked wrestling the guys, and they thought there was a great dynamic, Because that's always what I would get. It's like, where's Flair? Where's Flair? The people loved that, So I think that's really what was disappointing. But it's great to hear that, like, your top, Flair and Batista were the top guys at this time, right? So they're pushing for a storyline with us. But of course, they knocked it down. They're top tier. You always want to pitch to be with the top tier, even if the top tier is pitching to be with us, and they they were like, no, we have other plans. So that was a big time bummer, because I think it would have done a lot. It was fun. I think that Deuce and Domino, we had so much more to offer as far as storyline, and I never took the skate off and hit anybody with it. We would do all this stuff in OVW and just like went crazy and picked me up and used my feet to hit people. Like, it was just so much more we could do. So the Batista and Flair for sure would have been really fun to see where we could go with that. So that was a bummer.
That would have been a really interesting opportunity, just because watching Ric Flair's work in WCW, well, his entire career, Rick is Ric Flair, in my opinion, the greatest wrestler of all time. However, like, Ric Flair, in roles where there's a female manager, really, really gets that female manager to another level.
Yeah.
Man, that is, after hearing that, I am so disappointed that did not happen for you guys.
And Rick and I became really good friends. So, that would have been fun altogether, because it was just, and I just think that people thought, I don't know, Rick's just a nice guy. Dave's just a nice guy. Dave treated me like he was my big brother, So, it was just a great relationship that organically happened. So, yeah, that was a bummer.
So, over the course of your career in professional wrestling through OVW into the WWE, what would you say is one lesson that you learned that you didn't expect to learn, and how did it change your career?
Um, Gosh, there's probably so many. Um, you have to invest in yourself. Um, because it seems like a lot of the girls' stuff was scripted. And I think I was a little naive as to what we could do, what we couldn't do. I got in my own head as far as being really true to the Cherry character. Cherry couldn't wrestle. However, I was on the independents. I'd been with OVW. Um, but I think I lacked in investing in myself with all of the trainers I had at my fingertips. And, I just see what Nattie does now because Nattie and I are very close, and she just has invested in herself to such extent from, PR, public relations, to in the ring, to helping people, to her gear, to what she calls pre-care, post-care. We constantly work out together. There's nothing Nattie can't do, and she has just such a stock in herself. And I didn't have all of that. I didn't see all of that. I think towards the end, I got a little inside my own head and got very self conscious. So I didn't take advantage of the Regals, which who was fantastic, and we got along so great, and he was so kind to me, and just those fit Finleys and those opportunities. Like, I think that was my biggest lesson. And I know in life, networking is really where you get ahead. You can have all the education in the world, but it's in networking and you putting your brand out there. And I lacked in that. I kind of got a little self-conscious in myself and insecure, and um, you know didn't realize that I needed to do those things. So not that I regret anything that I've ever done, but I see how much stock Nattie's made in herself, and she's that's where people need to go. You have to believe in yourself, put stock in yourself. Don't believe everything that everybody tells you, because everybody up there is going to have an opinion. But you have to, people make it because they're true to themselves and true to their, what they want out of their career. So probably that. Invest in yourself in a lot of different ways, not just on TV, after the TV, when you're home, family, making sure you have supportive family, and investing in being there for them as well. So you're not just so caught up in your career, taking that break, because it's a good mental break, and it's a good to reconnect with family because you're on the road so much. So I'd probably say that. That was a long-winded answer.
No, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's encouraged. You had mentioned the friendship with Nattie, Natalia Neidhart. How did that come to fruition? What led to you guys becoming such close friends?
Her storyline with us, she came up and it was about her and debuting her, and giving her that opportunity. And we just, being in the locker room, we realized, how fun, it was to be around each other. We had the same personality, and she was the new person, and had been there, but I was not in the fold. It was about Michelle and Victoria, and I was kind of a lower girl on the totem pole, and I wasn't. When she came in, they had just started branching me off on my own. So I had been with the boys a lot, so I wasn't really in that fold. So it was a natural gravitation towards each other, and then we became sisters, and we traveled together, and especially after her debut match, and she's like, we would talk about the slap because she knows how to slap somebody. We formed a great bond. I mean, her debut match with me, and we both just cherish that so much that we have such a friendship now, and that that was our first moment together for Nattie, and they were utterly thrilled with it. Vince and everybody stood up in Gorilla, and just, we did what they wanted, and Fit was so pleased, and it just started a milestone for us. So that's where it really started, and we were just inseparable at that time. And everybody thought we were looked like sisters. And then, of course, when we would go to Raw, then we had Beth, and we called ourselves the Golden Girls, and so it just, yeah, you gravitate towards birds of a feather, right? You gravitate towards each other. So yeah, we've been friends for a long time.
You can tell just how much you care about just by the way you light up when you're reminiscing about stories. I love to see
Oh my
it.
gosh, she's a hoot. Like, I've never laughed as much as when I'm with her. Sorry, my dog needs to go out. I never laugh as much as when I'm with her. She's so funny. So, yeah, I cherish our friendship. She's a cutie.
So, outside of Natalia, from your time in WWE, who were three people that you felt you could go to for advice at any point of time?
Beth Phoenix. Let me see. Dave Batista and I, had opportunities on like charter flights and stuff. And, you know, when we were at arenas or stuff, he wasn't always there, but there were times on charter flights or sitting in the airport. Um, Vicky Guerrero. I mean, it was really my inner circle. Oh, Layla. Layla and I traveled for a little bit, and she, I confided in her in a lot of things. So Layla, I have to say Layla, Nattie, Beth, and Vicky, and then Dave. Dave more so not so girly stuff, but probably those people. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So, again, going back and looking at the career that you've had, and from again OVW into WWE, what would you say is your favorite story that you've seen told in the ring? Not necessarily a match, but the psychology behind what was happening.
That I loved the Cody and Sean story that we did in OVW. I and I think it worked because every single one of us had creative control. So we all got together. All of us got together, including Al and Danny Davis, and decided what we were doing next week and how we were going to play out this storyline, So that was the most fun. And I honestly am so blessed to do that because a lot of the stuff that I did as Cherry, and especially in that storyline, I took a lot from the Savage and Elizabeth memories that they had. So a lot of that stuff, and I don't know how much of OVW you saw, but, Deuce and Domino put me on the line and Cody and Sean win me. And they put me on this like pedestal, kind of like that Saturday Night's Main Event that Liz was on that little like lifeguard stand, right? So, and just when they attacked Cody and Sean, like I jumped in the way of, Sean getting like booted in the face and, Deuce threw me to the ground. So that was another Saturday Night's Main Event. So there were a lot of things that I threw in there from thoughts of just going, this would make sense. And I just really thought at that time with Liz and Savage and, and just the fact that every one of us had creative control. When you get to the big machine, you don't have that opportunity until you get to be top tier. So the fact that every one of us was able to contribute really made that storyline fun. And it really pulled the dynamic of every single person in that storyline. So it wasn't just, me and Sean were really kind of that thing. It was every single person had a dynamic to it. So that was my most fun storyline I had.
So, I had watched a couple of shoot interviews that you had done with several other podcasters or interviewers, and you had brought up one thing that I definitely wanted to talk about here on the podcast today, and that is your fascination with ghost stories and with documentaries.
Yes. I'm so fat. I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm in like a paranormal thing and there's ghosts. But for some reason, I'm drawn to that stuff. Like, and I don't know if it's the fact that I'm such a history buff, and I wish I knew that when I was a kid. I didn't realize that I liked history so much. But there's some ghost shows that are not very good, and then there's some that are really good. And I think the ones that I really like are the ones that show the history behind it. I think that there's something out there. I think that there is spirits and ghosts. I just don't want to be involved with it. But I just love that stuff. Ghost Adventures is my favorite. Back in the day, I used to watch Ghost Hunters, but it's kind of changed. Like they just had a lot of more debunking and nothing really happened. I feel like there are certain things that do happen, but I think that Ghost Adventures is my favorite, and I just get so addicted to it and their personalities and stuff. So, and even Discovery Plus has stories where people reenact or tell their story of what they experienced in their house. So it's just an average normal person. And documentaries just goes back to my history. I can sit here, I watched Ruth Gator Bin, I can't even say it now. Ruth How is it? Ruth Gator, RBG, right? RGB. I swear I watched the documentary. I watched that. I mean, I can watch anything from, um, you know, I watch a lot of that David Letterman interviewing where he interviews certain, like the Ukraine president. I watched that. I watched the movie on Harriet Tubman. Just real true life stuff. There's the movie coming out about Emmett. What's the poor young man that was killed back in the day? Emmett, not Lewis. Emmett Smith. There was a
That's
young.
the football part.
No, there was a young black boy that was murdered because this white lady had said that he flirted or whistled at her. It was way back in the day. Emmett. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting it. But it's a historical thing, and it was back in when there were, in the South. So, gosh, I can't remember the poor gentleman's name, but they're doing a story on it. So I just love, Pearl Harbor's anniversary was a couple months ago, and my sister and I watched the Pearl Harbor reenactment or just history of it again. So I just love learning about that stuff, real true life stuff. Like, was that person in this place? And that kind of, when I was in Kentucky, I went to Abraham Lincoln's birthplace. So that was fun. It's like, he was here, So, I don't know. I just like history and ghost stories. Does that really match? But whatever. I just like them. Yeah, Lisa Marie Victoria, she's into it. They just had her and Mickey and SoCal just had a paranormal person on their show. So I just love that. Like knowing there's something out there.
I had actually booked Victoria, and we had worked an independent show together. I had brought her in, and before the show, we started talking about paranormal stuff and how she always wakes up at 3 a.m. And
yes, she told me that too, and I do that too, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, 3 a.m. is the witching hour or whatever they call it, spiritual hour.
she sent me, I kid you not, it was like just a packet on the stuff that she had, and it was really insightful stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what like Ghost Adventurers does, is like those guys really know their stuff, and they, research it and cleansing and all of that stuff. Again, I don't ever want to go to a haunted house. I don't ever want my house to be haunted, but I feel like, there's things that happen that can't be explained. And they're not always bad, but it's good to, and it's like people that are like, oh, well, there isn't a God. Okay, well, these exorcisms clearly show that there's a God. There's somebody out there that protects these people that are being possessed. So, gosh, I'm going off the tangent. It's like, you don't believe in a higher being? Okay, clearly there has to be.
Have you ever experienced anything that was paranormal while you were growing up, on the road, at home?
No, but I don't know. My dad claimed that there was something, and this was before I was born. My parents had run this like school for the gifted, and it was this back in the day in New Jersey. And long story short, apparently he stated that there was like a gatehouse or kind of like a guest house, and there was like one of the groundskeepers. It was a big place, so that the school owned it, but then my dad, my mom, and my sister lived there during the day because it was like a huge house, but then the kids would come during the day. So he claimed that there was like a rocking chair that was rocking back and forth with like a ghost in it. I don't know, there was a book of ghost stories from New Jersey, and that was one of them in there. I don't know how true that is because my dad was tend to tell stories. So, but that was my connection to any kind of ghost story. And that was before I was born, so. But yeah, I do kind of.
I had the
What's that?
a couple decades ago, I had the opportunity to go ghost hunting with some friends.
Where?
It's an experience. I live in Lafayette, Indiana, so this was in Lafayette. We went to a couple cemeteries, and they had all this equipment, all of this stuff to detect certain sounds, certain cameras they would use to get infrared imaging.
EVPs.
Yes.
Tripods. Oculus.
They would set stuff up at the entryway, and on some graves that had stories behind them, And look, there were some things that got pulled from the audio that we were all together. Nobody could have went back and done something to just to
Right.
get one over on us. I was hooked after that.
So it was more so after the fact when you reviewed your tapes. You didn't see or feel anything while you were there.
Not while we were there. It all came up afterwards, and then we would take various photos, and there would be orbs in the photos by like heads, and it was some creepy stuff.
Wow. Wow. See, I can't go that far. But I will tell you, Elijah Burke actually went with Ghost Hunters to Waverly Sanitarium in Louisville, Kentucky. And it was funny because I guess it was during the time when we were in WWE and he was up on ECW, and they put on the Titantron during the day. So we would do rehearsals and stuff, and I guess he got really scared. So they took the footage because he went down a room or whatever, and he got really scared and he screamed like a girl and like went running. And you know how those shows, like, it's dark, so everybody's green because it's like the night vision camera. So they played it on the Titantron during the day and like made fun of Elijah because he got really scared. And if you know paranormal, you know that Waverly Sanitarium in Louisville is like one of the big places to like investigate. So yeah, that was pretty funny.
That's amazing. I'm actually working with Elijah in a couple of weeks. I'm bringing him into an independent show. I've got to remind him of this story. Like this is too good.
He was like, "Come on, why are you going to show that?" I don't know if it necessarily made it on the show, but I remember because I used to watch it then. I used to watch Ghost Hunters at that time. So yeah, it was funny. Elijah, what a sweetheart.
So, with the state that women's wrestling is right now, we'll kind of go back to professional wrestling. Women's wrestling has just blossomed over the last decade.
Yeah.
Who are some women now that you wish you would have had the opportunity to work with back in your run with WWE?
Becky for sure. Rhea Ripley for sure. Asuka. You know, Mickey's always great. You know, I worked with Mickey on the Indies. We didn't wrestle up at WWE, but there's so many people now. I don't get to see Impact as much. Deanna Barrazo. She was trained by my friend Damian Adams, who helped train me a lot in New Jersey. So she's remarkable, and she's been around the world and been trained by all these people. So, yeah, I mean, obviously Nattie, but Nattie and I have wrestled a lot. So there was not this many people, you know, hired, and it wasn't wrestling then when I was there like it is now, you know. I mean, you could always say Sasha Banks. I know that she's kind of in the you know, not really in the fold anymore, doing her own thing, but I've met her a few times, and she's just a great person all around and talented. I always loved watching her. So, I'm probably leaving a lot of girls out, but I mean, right now the girls wrestling is just incredible, you know, to watch. So, definitely evolved, and I'm glad to see it, you know, because they're very entertaining. So, those are probably you.
Let's say you were kind of at the start of the turn for women's wrestling because Fit Finlay was given the women's division, and he really got the ball rolling. What was it like having interactions with Fit as he was trying to change the culture of women's wrestling?
Oh, Fit's amazing. He has such a mind. He knows how to deal with women, which I think TJ's now involved too. I think all the girls now love having TJ, Nattie's husband, as the girls' producer. So Fit just was a good fit. You know, I think at one time they tried to have Mike Rotundo or Barry Windham as the girls, and it just didn't work. The girls' producer, and it just didn't work. Fit just knew how to deal with us from all angles. So he's just incredible human. He's laid back. He's funny. And he knows how to break down that psychology to us that really kind of made it stick and made it fun. So, you know, all the girls love Fit. He helped a lot of us.
So he's one of the absolute best in terms, not just wrestling, but just charisma and just overall work ethic.
Yeah.
Hell of a choice to give you guys Fit Finley. That was an amazing call.
Yeah. Yeah. We were so lucky to have him. So, yeah, and he just watched out for us. And that's what I liked, so.
Well, before we go ahead and wrap everything up, I do want to have you at this time promote some stuff you got coming up. There's a lot of people that want to see you, Cherry. A lot of people that remember you and have very fond memories.
Well, I appreciate that. And, it's nice to know after all this time that people are still looking out for that. So I am on Twitter at former Diva Cherry. It's FMR Diva Cherry. I'm on Instagram as ddchick. I also have Cameo, which I did a cameo today, which was fun, for a fan named Terry, which is fun. But DDC Chick as well on Cameo. And then there's also a Celeb VM, which I'm on as well, which is a newer platform that I just started. So reach out to me. I'm sending out packages every week for people that are looking for signed photos and personal autographs and things like that. You can DM me on either Instagram or Twitter. I don't have a Facebook. The Facebooks that are out there, not me. I've never had a Facebook, not a big fan of Facebook, but you can reach me on those platforms. And I always love hearing from people. Again, I did a Cameo today, which is fun because I want to, Cameo gives me the opportunity to have a conversation back and forth, especially with the Royal Rumble coming up. We always want to hear everybody's prediction and things like that. So yeah, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from everybody.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you, Cherry, for taking time from your schedule to join me on Heated Shenanigans. It has been an absolute honor to speak with you.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoy being able to talk to everybody.
Oh, you're most welcome. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And guys, we will see you next week with another episode of Heated Shenanigans Podcast.